Hello and welcome back to the Rugby Roundups Fantasy Rugby series with me, Certified Director of Rugby, Monty Cairns. In this episode, I'm going to be going through each of the games coming up in round 2 of the Guinness Six Nations, picking some players to watch, and then I'm going to do my much anticipated fantasy team announcement from 1 through to 23 with a nice little comment on each player. So let's not waste any time and let's get stuck in. So guys, I was just about to get started into previewing the games, but there's a bit of a smell about. You know what I think I can smell some bit of nauseousness coming on. And we all know what that means. Nose helmet. Right, so we've got the old gallon. Rugby juices are flowing. Let's not waste any time. So, first game of the weekend is going to be Wales versus Scotland. I've got the team up on the screen for you now. So let's have a little look. I'm not going to bore everyone and go through like the whole team. Each team, I reckon. Well, I'll just say what I think is going to happen in the game, and then I'll pick out 1 or 2 players to watch from each side. So, Wales versus Scotland. I think Wales are definitely going to need to buck up their ideas, especially in attack, if they're going to try and beat Scotland. Scotland just need to bring more of the same from last week, but maybe a bit more. We'll see a bit more jouet, a bit more chucking the ball around. Although the weather is not meant to be good for this game, unfortunately, in Wales. Worst weather out of all the 3 games. So we might not see all the jouet we want to see, unfortunately. However, I reckon from Wales, players to watch, it's quite tough because they were pretty appalling last week. But I'm going to go with my boy Tane Basham to have another big game. I think it's just going to be every game for Wales. Tane Basham just like tackles, running it up, the whole shebang. Also interesting to see Jack Morgan in there. Apparently he's pretty good at the breakdown. So another one to watch. Maybe those 2. Basically, Wales back row. For Scotland, we're going to go with Wee Darcy. He just got that instinct to just sort of, if you give him an opportunity, he's just there. He's basically going to score. So yeah, really excited to see Darcy have a crack again. Sione Tuipulotu comes into the centres. I haven't actually seen much of him, so it'll be interesting to watch a bit of him, see what he's like. I know he got a couple minutes last week, but didn't really get to see his full extent. So maybe him as well. Darcy and Sione to watch, I'd say, for Scotland. On to the next game of the weekend, the big one, maybe even the biggest game of the Six Nations. We don't know, but all we know is it's going to be a huge one. And France versus Ireland, it's just going to be, I think whichever pack manages to get on top is going to have the ascendancy. Obviously Sexton's out, Joey Carberry comes in, but Joey Carberry is by no means a bad player. He's almost can play the ball a bit better than Johnny Sexton in terms of his running game and individual ability to run the ball. So we'll see if anything changes too much. We've got the big old Mac Daddy. That's going to be my one to watch for Ireland every week, purely because he's called the Mac Daddy. Well, I mean, I call him Mac Daddy. I think a lot of when he was playing in Australia, all the commentators used to be like, the Mac Daddy in for a try, here we go. So the Mac Daddy's become my new favourite player, basically. So I reckon he might sneak in for a try. We'll see. When it comes to France, one change in the centres, Yoram Moefana comes in, and he is my one to watch for France. Great ball carrier, but also very, very deft with his hands, a good ball player. I just have a feeling he might sort of slide through a hole on a run and maybe even sneak over the line. So one to watch out for. When I do my team announcement in a bit, you'll see I've made some big calls to do with Yoram Moefana, dropping hints there. So it'll be interesting. But whoever wins this, I sort of want France to win, because if Ireland beat France, they're going to be very hard to beat after this. But if France beat Ireland, France are sort of almost they're more beatable in terms of like they can just have an off day, or like Scotland love doing France in for some weird reason. England normally have quite a good record against France as well. So basically, in order for the boys to hopefully bring home the title, I want France to win. So we'll see how that goes. On to the next one. We've got Italy versus England. I do really quite like the back line that Eddie Jones has named. Just quite exciting in terms of like Joe Marchant coming into the centres. Harry Randall at 9, so electric. Like if you watch him for Bristol, you'll know. Great player to watch, and I think he's going to really speed up the ball as opposed to Ben Youngs. So we might see a bit more jouet. You know, I've checked the weather, proper good old Norse tactics, and it's going to be dry underfoot, so we might see a nice open game. We know Italy like to play as well. We've got Paolo Garbisi. I think the one to watch for Italy is always going to be Montagliani. Montagliani, just an electric player. Like, give him the ball, even not in too much space, and he'll always make something out of it. So he's my one to watch for Italy. Harry Randall's my one to watch for England. And also, Jack Nowell's back. Jack Knowles is one of my favourite players. I remember I used to watch him right the way, under 20s all the way up, and just sort of loved the way he played. I think people have forgotten about him this week, and you'll see in my team announcement later, there's a nice little tactic to do with Jack Nowell. So keep your eyes peeled, all right? But yeah, all in all, I think I would expect England, I think everyone else does, to put at least 20 points on Italy. I think Italy will score, but I think England will probably beat them by 20 points or more. So that's all my predictions for the games coming up this week. We can take the old Norse helmet off. Let's get up. And let's get into my team announcement. All right, cool. Number 1, Genji. I just love how much he loves celebrating tries. Extremely powerful and will be a dangerous ball carrier versus Italy. Go on, Babber! Number 2, Kelleher. Currently sitting very comfortably at the back of one of the strongest packs in the competition right now. Might just sneak over for a cheeky try. Number 3, Tadhug, aka Twinkle Toes. Great ball carrier and very dangerous from 5 metres out. Number 4, Mao Itoje. Little position hack this week with him moving into the back row. Going to be a dangerous ball carrier versus Italy. Let's see. Number 5, Tadhug Bien. Incredibly versatile forward. Immense in the loose and great over the ball. Number 6, Basham. Pretty much does what it says on the tin. Enough said. Number 7, the Mish. Used to play for Edinburgh Accies. Shout out Edinburgh Accies. Really enjoyed playing for them up in Scotland. This guy is one of the most abrasive ball carriers you'll ever see, and very much looking forward to him to try and run over Wales this weekend. Number 8, Keelan Doris. Now don't be fooled by his name, because he's certainly not a dear old codger with some knitting needles. He's a big old boffer coming for some French scalps. Number 9, Antoine Dupont. Arguably produced one of the best GQ covers of all time. He'll definitely have his party gown on this weekend if they manage to do a job over Ireland. Number 10, Marcus Smith. Rumour has it he's been given the keys to Buckingham Palace. All that Eddie needs to do now is just give him the bloody keys to England. Number 11, Wee Darcy. Never to be underestimated, this guy. Extremely nippy, and if you give him one sniff of a try, he will take it. Number 12. Oh, it is so good to see him back. Jack Knoll is here, but he's in the centre for me. Yes, it's a nice little position hack. Because he can play centre as well, but he's starting on the wing, I've shoved him in there to just be an absolute try-scoring threat who's sure to definitely have at least one chance at a try this weekend. He's going to be a very hungry beaver, and the Italian players are going to be the metaphorical bark to this beaver's bill. Number 13, Joe Marchant. Extremely fast, runs great lines, should be a very exciting watch this weekend. Number 14, Damien Penaud. This guy is extremely slippery. Much like a wet fish, no matter how much you think you've got him under control, you really don't. Definitely going to slip through some Irish hands to slop his way over the line this weekend. Number 15, Hoggy. Literally loves playing for Scotland and hoping to continue their great form against Wales through to this weekend. Number 16, Julien Marchand. All-round great player with a great running game, very dangerous. Number 17, Wyn Jones. Just a brilliant little prop, very slippery from 5 metres out. I don't know if he'll sneak a try, but he's a good prop to have in your team. Number 18, James Ryan. I reckon this guy is in for a huge Six Nations this year. He'll be looking to back up his really good performance against Wales next weekend with an absolute mammoth one against the French this weekend. Number 19, Michele Lamoureux. This guy is going to be the next Sergio Parisse. He will probably still be trying to play for Italy on his deathbed. Number 20, Ali Place. Energetic and dangerous. He'll be expected to be everywhere for Scotland this tournament. Also links up very well with Finn and Tonic. Number 21, Gaël Fickou. He is the gel that holds the French team together. Very exciting with the ball in hand and has quietly added lots of composure and good ball carrying to his game. Number 22, well, it's Joachim Moefana. Very rogue cool from me. This is a high risk, high reward tactic, and as such, he's my wildcard pick for this week. I just have a feeling he might do something. Number 23, and last but not least, Louis Rees-Zammit. I'm basically hoping that Wales' attack will pull their finger out and actually give this bloke the ball in space, because he's extremely dangerous. So that sums it up for this week's preview episode. I hope you enjoyed it. It's going to be an epic weekend of Six Nations rugby, so make sure you get stuck in, do your fantasy team. It will be worth it, I promise you. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the like button. If you want to follow along in the next couple of weeks, hit subscribe button, get on the train, keep riding it. And yeah, so I'll be releasing 2 more next week. And in the meantime, have a great weekend and enjoy the rugby.